What's up, everyone? It's Benedict here, aka BHL Hudson. Welcome back to the BHL2 channel, and Happy New Year, everyone. Happy 2026. Hope you had a great celebration. And although we're barreling into the new year, and there's lots of exciting entertainment, lots of movies, TV shows, video games, all this stuff coming out this year, I'm still not quite done talking about 2026, talking about 2025. I still have some TV shows I want to talk about. I did not get a chance to do this video, basically the equivalent of the reviewing every movie I saw video that I did for TV, because I watched a bunch of shows last year. Honestly, most of them really good, and I want to talk about them. So I'm going to go through every show I watched. Some of these, I'll be honest, I've not seen all of, so there will be some where I'm just reviewing parts of the shows that I've seen because, as opposed to watching movies, which I do a stupid amount of, I'm not great with watching TV. It's just there's so much more of it, and there's so much, good stuff to seek out. But I've tried to find the right stuff, and I watched a bunch of good stuff, so let's talk about it. Enough waffling. Let's get into it. First of all, Adolescence. By the way, this is not in some kind of ranking, because that would be sort of hard to do. TV shows are a bit more apples and oranges than movies, I feel like. But Adolescence, sort of show of the year in many ways. You know how, like, Sinners was sort of movie of the year that kind of drove the movie cultural conversation, that kind of stuff. I feel like Adolescence is that for TV. Excellent show. Really great. This was one that I avoided a little bit just because whenever I hear of like a prestigious Netflix thing, oftentimes I watch and I'm like, oh, this was not actually that special. This is just like, by Netflix standards, this isn't like terrible, but this is not that great. This was really great. This was really well done. If you haven't seen it, it's about the young boy who kills a girl and the nightmarish situation that is for everyone involved. And it's all told in like a continuous take. It's done with that Birdman type of style where it's all done in one take. Not only a very impressive show, like how it's made, how it's acted as well. A lot of stand-up performances here from, basically, I guess, I don't know if they're stand-out if everyone's great, but stand-out in the year, I suppose, from Stephen Graham, Aaron Doherty, Owen Cooper as the kid. Everyone's fantastic here. And it only really works because, not only, but a large part of it works because the performances are so great and it makes it feel real and authentic, this, device where it's all told in one continuous take. And that could be a gimmick, and I've heard some people accuse the show of using that as a gimmick. I feel like it enhances the storytelling. It really, in the first episode, it really makes it, it places you, it feels very realistic, the arrest and going through the booking process and that kind of stuff. In later episodes, the one where Owen Cooper, the kid, he talks to Aaron Doherty, the therapist, and you get to explore their emotions and sort of see in real time the changes in his persona and the way he acts and the way she has to, match that or counter that and how to navigate a situation like that. Just a really smart, well-done show. I don't think it's perfect. I honestly can't remember what my complaint was. I made a video about it, so you can check that out over on the main BHL Hudson channel. I think towards the end, there was something about it that I didn't love, or it felt a little more contrived or story-like or something. Like, it was really immersive for a lot of it, and then there were points where it feels, you were reminded a little bit that you're watching a show. But in general, very well made and very, of the current moment, very topical. And I think it tackles that, online pipeline into hate and violence and this kind of stuff, and lonely kids, especially young men on the internet and all this kind of stuff. I think it handles that quite well. And I think it was good. It started a cultural conversation about that. So yeah, Adolescence, definitely one of, probably the best show that I saw this year. I maybe shouldn't start with like the best one. I don't know how much that leaves for the rest of the video, but definitely up there as one of the best shows I watched. Next up, we have Daredevil Born Again. This was interesting. This somehow exceeded my expectations, and then in hindsight also kind of fell short of them in a weird way. Because I think, you hear Daredevil. I love the Daredevil show. It could be, I haven't rewatched it, so it could be, that I saw it when I was like 13 years old, and I was like, holy shit, this is so deep and good. And then if you rewatch it now, maybe it's not as good, but I really think Daredevil is a fantastic show. I think it is one of, I'd say it's probably like a top 3 MCU thing ever made, those first 3 seasons of Daredevil, specifically 1 and 3. Season 2 is pretty cool, but there's a lot going on, and I remember it was very distinctly like split up into the Punisher half and the Elektra half, and they didn't really tie together that well, and it felt a little mushed together. Season 1 is excellent, and Season 3 honestly might be even better. Season 3 was like peak cinema. Like, I don't know, I was like, why is Daredevil Season 3 this fucking good? I remember I was thinking when I was watching it. But so there was a lot of hesitation with them bringing back for Disney Plus. The Disney Plus shows have been hit or miss, I think you could say, to put it generously. And bringing Daredevil, who was on Netflix and sort of earlier Marvel, into this current day MCU, where everything is more, part of the universe, everything feels kind of the same. I was skeptical going in. And I think I remember, and I said this in my review, I made a video about it also on the BHL channel. It is a story of 2 seasons, really. And not in the same way as season 2, where it's like first half is this story, second half is this story, but more in the sense that like it feels like 2 different shows were filmed and they were like shuffled together like a deck of cards. You know what I mean? Because there's some episodes that feel kind of like original Daredevil, like Netflix Daredevil, where it is like quite decently written, quite well acted. Charlie Cox, obviously goated. I mean, he's, one of the best casting choices in the MCU. And it feels like a real sort of show when it's dealing with like Wilson Fisk, another one of the best casting choices in the MCU, Vincent D'Onofrio. Jesus, excuse me. When it's dealing with his rise to power and his dynamic with Matt Murdock and that kind of stuff, that's all really interesting and like quite well done. And I was like, okay, they're kind of cooking here. And then there are just episodes dropped in, like the bank episode, which isn't like a terribly made episode. There's some decent action or whatever, but it just feels like it's from a different show where, not only do you have the Ms. Marvel cameo where it's her dad, and, that immediately sort of like takes you out of it, like, wow, this doesn't really fit in this show tonally. But it just, it feels sort of cheesier and more superhero-like. This whole story with the White Tiger, I think it is, with the mask, like there's elements of that are like quite compelling. There's like a court drama involved in that, which is really good. And then there's other parts that are, am I thinking about the white mask? I don't know. There's the guy he defends in court. That I thought that was compelling. And then there's it's another guy, the guy who like tortures people and cuts them up or whatever. And I thought that whole subplot felt like it was out of some kind of like B superhero show, like some kind of lame Disney Plus, low-key like a fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. like ABC type superhero show at points. Like you get, it's tied up with Daredevil's love story with his therapist or something. And I don't know, it would just, it would like swing very dramatically back and forth in quality. Not even like in terms of story, although there was a little bit of that, but mostly just in terms of tone and quality. And it made for a little bit of a, in hindsight, kind of a disappointing season. I remember when it came out, I was decently high on it. I was like, that was fun. I like these characters and that kind of stuff. But thinking back on it, I'm like, and it was a very underwhelming ending. It was a very, part 1 type ending where it was like, oh, and that was the climax because we're, doing more seasons, so we have to like save some stuff for that, and so we're just gonna do like a big dramatic like, and next time on Daredevil with, a Radiohead song playing or whatever. So yeah, look, I still liked it. I think it was probably one of the better Disney Plus shows, and there's like great stuff in there, but as a thing on the whole, as a final product, I don't know, didn't flow together as well as you'd hope. And I don't know like what actually happened there. I'm just saying like it does feel like 2 versions of a show smushed together kind of thing. But yeah, Daredevil, Born Again. Also, if I'm giving star ratings, I'll just do this off the top of my head. Adolescence, I'd say 4.5 stars. Daredevil, Born Again, I'd say 3 stars. I think that's fair enough. Next up, we have The Studio, Seth Rogen's new show where he plays the head of a studio in Hollywood, sitcom comedy-esque. I really like The Studio, I have to say, and I know that's probably not surprising because it's about, Hollywood and film. I thought it was fun. I'm not a huge Seth Rogen fan. I like some of his stuff. The Interview is a pretty peak movie, I have to say. And I like This Is the End and that kind of stuff. But sometimes, a bit hit or miss, I'd say, Seth Rogen. But this is, I also have to say I'm a bit biased because this came out like right when I was in Los Angeles. And so it was just like, just for me, it felt very like serendipitous that, I was experiencing all this stuff and I was seeing LA and the film industry and all this kind of stuff. And then I was watching the show that was sort of, about that and making fun of it. And I was on the Warner Brothers lot at one point, and I think the show, like the studio stuff in the show is filmed on the Warner Brothers lot. So I was like, hey, I had lunch there. That's crazy. So that was like, I think that enhanced my enjoyment of it for sure. But it's a fun, clever show. I don't think it's like insanely clever. Like I've recommended this to people and they watched it and they were like, oh yeah, I thought it'd be sort of a little more, I don't know, I guess like prestige or something, which maybe you shouldn't expect from like a Seth Rogen sitcom type of thing. But it did get like a lot of, it's winning awards, got a lot of good press. I don't think it's a solid show. I just don't think you should go into it thinking like this is a really, like a prestige unbelievably written show. Like, it's funny. It's a funny show. I think that's what it was trying to be as well. So I think it's maybe not fair to put that label on it. But yeah, it's not obnoxious. Like, I feel like these inside Hollywood shows where it's like, like Jay Kelly came out, and even though I tried hard not to be, I still found it to be like a little bit obnoxious. Like, I feel like this does a good job of making fun of Hollywood stuff without being too inside jokey, too you have to know the industry. Like, I feel like a normal person who doesn't care about film could watch this and, largely get what what the jokes are about and that kind of stuff. And it's sort of like a cozy watch. Like, I just love a sitcom. They don't make sitcoms like they used to anymore. I like watching a sitcom. And it's fun premises for the episodes, and it has fun cameos. The Scorsese bit in episode 1, that was great. Very funny show, very likable cast. I mean, unlikable characters, but like a likable group of actors who do well with that. Ike Barinholtz, I think, was the stand-up performance for me. Yeah, no, I really, although I did also really enjoy, what's her name? Chase Soul Wonders. Yeah, it was fun. I liked it. I thought the finale, I wasn't nuts about the finale. I thought that kind of, I don't want to say it jumped the sharks. It is a comedy show. I thought there were funnier episodes throughout. I thought the Golden Globes episode was really funny. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd recommend it to anyone who, likes movies and watches movies and stuff. Like, I assume you do if you're watching this this YouTube video on the BHL2 channel, of all places. Speaking of Los Angeles, I've also watched a few episodes of I Love LA. Rachel Sennott, her new show. This is an interesting show. I think I would call this a guilty pleasure, but I don't even really like it. So it's just like a guilty watch, I guess. But I guess it's kind of well done. It's just such an unlikable show, but it's intentional, I guess. Like, these characters are meant to be just like the most insufferable, annoying, people on Earth, I think. Or maybe that's just how I feel about them. But I mean, they're obviously they're meant to be obnoxious. But I think there's supposed to be like a little bit of like, they're so, vapid and shallow and annoying, but like really there's like a sweetness there, and I don't really get this. I'm like, no, you guys are just kind of fucking annoying. Like, you kind of all just really suck. You're like the last people or most people I know would like want to spend time with. Which, by the way, just to put it out there, being in LA, this was not my experience. I didn't, you could watch the show and think this is what everyone in LA is like. There's some people like this, but I've met a lot of cool people in LA. But yeah, it's just, again, I like a sitcom. I like a show where the stakes are not very high and it's goofy and fun. And there is something weirdly, I mean, Rachel Sennett's very charismatic. There's like a weird charisma to it, I suppose. But I genuinely can only watch this in like 10-minute chunks because I'm just like, man, these characters are so fucking annoying, and like you're supposed to kind of like them. And it's not like as funny as I also think it thinks it is. Maybe I'm not the target demo for this. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not nuts about it. I think I'll probably keep watching it. I think I'll probably finish it. But yeah, a bit of a guilty pleasure, I guess. Also, yeah, the studio, I'd give 3.5 stars. I'd say maybe even 4. I'd 3.5. Let's stick with it. I Love LA so far 2.5, but I'm only a few episodes in, to be fair. Speaking of a show that I have only watched, I watched about half of Long Story Short. Again, I'm sorry, I suck at watching shows. I gotta get back on it. I gotta lock in. But this is the new show from God, I'm forgetting his name. Bob Waxberg, something like that. The guy who made BoJack Horseman, which is my favorite show of all time. I love BoJack Horseman. I've seen it, dozens of times. I think it's the funniest show. I think it's the most emotional show I've ever seen. I just love that show. It's great. And so I was very excited, that he's making a new thing. And yeah, it is very good. It is certainly very good. It has not grabbed me in the same way as BoJack Horseman yet, but also I think you shouldn't like compare them. They are very different shows, especially like, thematically and tone. I mean, I don't know. There are some thematic and tonal crossovers, but BoJack Horseman I think also has, the sort of the glitz and glamour and excitement of Hollywood, and it's it's kind of a fast-paced show, whereas Long Story Short is a bit more low-key. It's more about family and these personal connections and how those change as time passes and this kind of stuff. So I think it's fair enough that it doesn't immediately grab you. By the way, BoJack Horseman season 1 is not very good, so like that also doesn't immediately grab you. That should be noted. This is definitely better than season 1 of BoJack as like a first season. But in terms of what it's going for, I think it is very effective with the emotional storytelling, and I think you can tell that like this guy, Raphael Bob Waxberg, sorry if that's not his name, but these people, who made BoJack Horseman, who work on this. I know it's him. I don't know if he brought more of the crew over, but you can just tell they get storytelling. They know how to do storytelling, and they know how to do it with, like, fun storytelling devices. Like, in BoJack Horseman, there are a bunch of episodes that have time jumps and, flashbacks and flash forward and whatever. And the whole show is basically that. Long story short, it's going between eras of this family and exploring their relationships and how those change and them as people. And it's really well done. I will say, like, as a negative, like, I haven't been super compelled to finish it. Like, I think 5 episodes in. I think there's 10 episodes, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. No, it was really good. I'll get to it. But I haven't, like, gone back to it. So I think that maybe says a little something about it. But it's been very, very good so far. And it's like BoJack. It has a lot of funny, animation gags. The animation's great. It fits the story really well. Just, like, really creative, funny, very sweet, kind of melancholic. It's a great show. I look forward to finishing it. I'm going to say 4 stars so far. Yeah, it is very good, for sure. Also, it has Max Greenfield in it. So, Schmidt, shout out. Next up, we have Severance Season 2. That was in 2025. That was early 2025, I think. But yeah, Severance Season 2. I loved Severance Season 1. I did the exact thing that everyone does where you get on Severance, then you, like, can't shut the fuck up about it, and you're telling everyone to watch Severance. But, bro, the fucking ending of Season 1, that shit is, like, that was, like, Twin Peaks levels of, I remember when I finished Twin Peaks Season 2, and I was like, I have to watch Fire Walk With Me, I have to watch The Return, like, I can't, that's such a crazy cliffhanger, and, what a great show, and all this kind of stuff. That's how Severance Season 1, the ending of Season 1 of Severance, which I won't spoil, maybe one of my favorite, like, season enders of a show ever. Just the visceralness of that, man. And the build up to it. It was so fucking good. And again, I won't spoil it, but the reveal, the big reveal in Severance Season 1, again, one of the craziest moments in a TV show. And not even craziest, like, you're like, oh my god, what the fuck? Like, you're kind of sitting back just like, damn. One of, like, the best reveals and the best done twists in a show. So fucking good. Anyway, Severance Season 1 was great. It was funny. It was weird. It was really well done. Ben Stiller, my goat. And then Season 2, I would say it's still pretty fucking great. I don't think it's as good as Season 1. I do think, I've talked to a few people who've watched it, and they all have sort of the same complaint, and I agree that it gets a bit bogged down in the, like, mechanics of the Severance stuff. And that's all, I mean, I feel like I say this all the time. It's always the least interesting part of a story. Like, the actual science or whatever the fuck, the explanations behind the stuff, that's not what makes a story. Like, it can be kind of interesting. You can go down a, like, putting together timelines and putting together how the tech works and, doing a fucking FNAF lore explained video. Like, lore and science and what explanations can be interesting. But, you're there for the emotion, the emotional stakes, the twist, the storytelling, which is all still here in plenty load. There's I don't know if that's a word. There's lots of that here still. But it definitely does get a bit bogged down in the mechanics. And I think it is, you can feel the effort a little bit. I feel like, great TV in Severance Season 1 was like this. It's effortless. It's like, holy fuck, this is so cool, this is so weird, this is so interesting. And with Season 2, it feels occasionally a little bit like, okay, and we're, like, doing a weird thing now. Like, this is the Severance thing where we do something that's kind of quirky and a little bit odd. And it didn't hit quite the same as Season 1. That being said, still excellently made, still incredibly performed. I don't think the Emmys did happen. I don't know, Golden Globes, there's so many fucking award shows. But regardless, I think this cast should win, basically all the fucking Emmys or Golden Globes or whatever the fuck. Adam Scott is fantastic. Britt Lauer, John Turturro, Zach Cherry. I'm just naming the whole fucking cast, but they're all really, really spectacular. Yeah, really good. Leaves me intrigued for Season 3, but I feel like, I don't know, we did get a lot of answers, and there was one thing where this annoyed me, because the Season 1 ending was so fucking crazy, and then Season 2, you're kind of just back in, like, doing a bit of a goofy thing, and I'm like, the end of Season 1 was so, like, revelatory and, like, earth-shaking for the, characters in the show, and then Episode 1, we're kind of back doing, gags on the Severance floor, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like there should be a little more immediacy here with, like, the revelations that happened. And it builds to that for sure. And there's some really creative stuff, There's the bit with the camcorder. Again, I won't spoil it. But yeah, I my point being with that, I worry a little bit that season 3 we're gonna go like, there was a crazy ending at season 2, and then we're back in Severance doing some Severance-y things for a little bit before we like really get the momentum back. Maybe that's just the nature of television. I don't know. But yeah, I guess I'm not. After season 1, I was like, holy fuck, I need to see season 2. That was crazy. And after season 2, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm excited for season 3, but I'm not dying for it. But still, excellent show. I'd say 4 stars. One of the best of the year for sure. Just maybe not quite as good as the first. Also, by the way, I think this would be a good time to mention. Yeah, I have not caught up on Stranger Things or Andor, which I realize are like kind of the 2 biggest shows of the year that people would probably want to hear me talk about. I'm sorry. I tried to catch up on Stranger Things, but I started too late, and I was like, I'm not going to make it. I'll get there eventually. And Andor, I have to watch season 1 and then season 2. I'm sure it's great. I'll watch it. I have not yet. My apologies. Moving on. We have Alien Earth. I technically did not finish Alien Earth. I have, I think, 1 episode left. It just pissed me off so much, man. I could not finish Alien Earth. And I'm sorry. This will be a me exclusive. This will be, people will comment, BHLL or some shit. Because I'm sure everyone loves this. And, by the way, I also haven't seen it, Welcome to Derry. Holy fuck, I suck at watching TV. Sorry. But I did watch Alien Earth, most of it. Because it is technically very good. Like, it is very well made. I just thought it was so boring, dude. And maybe it's my fault because I was kind of forcing myself to watch it because I thought I was going to make a review of it. And at a certain point, I was like, fuck it, I don't care about making this review, dude. I'm just not into this. I thought the concept sounded, or at least, the pilot was cool. Alien comes to Earth. I'm always complaining about how these alien movies, they're always the same shit. They're always on a ship. Then the alien is on the outside of the ship, but then it's not dead and it comes back and blah, blah, blah. I would love, even if it's stupid, to do something different. And Xenomorph comes to Earth, future Earth, all this kind of shit. That could be really cool. And it just gets so into this clone shit and this, pseudo-philosophical. I could totally understand if someone loves this, if this is up your alley. I'm not trying to, hate at all. I'm trying to hate a little, I guess. But not on you, I guess. I just found it to be very dull, personally. I just couldn't get into it. And I didn't like it. It has, obviously, cool effects. There's some alien action scenes that are cool. And there's some of those philosophical ideas and some of that, kids in adult bodies, but they're robots, but whatever. There's some of that stuff that's interesting, but I never gave a shit about anyone in the show, about the, politics of, about the cartoonish villain, about the politics of him versus the Yutani Corporation, whatever, about this girl and her brother. I just didn't give a fuck, and I stopped watching it. That's me, yeah. See, bro, this poster makes it look like, man, the aliens coming to Earth, the Xenomorphs coming to Earth, it's gonna be crazy. It was not crazy. Maybe it got crazy in the finale, I don't know. I did like the new creatures. I thought that was cool, the eye creature and all that shit. Again, doing new stuff with the alien world, I think is neat. But just the show in general, I couldn't get into it, I'm sorry. My bad. Then we have, I've grouped a bunch here together. I have The Daily Show, the Colbert, the Stephen Colbert Show, John Oliver, the sort of the political talk show kind of things. Because I watch, the stuff they put up on YouTube, and I'm pretty, I'm quite into U.S. politics and the news and this kind of stuff, so I find these shows to be interesting. It's something I also sometimes watch with my family, The Daily Show, everyone in my family loves Jon Stewart. And also, especially with this year, where it was, a political year for sure, with a lot of, a lot of shit to cover. I know they insist that they do not feel this way, but if you're in this business of, making jokes about politics, kind of couldn't be a better time for you, with all the horrible shit that's going on. But yeah, I think I'll focus on The Daily Show, I guess, because, John Oliver, I like his show. I think it's pretty funny. I watch it. Colbert, I'm a little iffy on. I used to be, a really big Colbert fan back in, 2016. When the first Trump term happened, I was like, oh, this guy's hilarious, man. And then, I don't know if I got older or just, shit was just... It just got stale. I don't know. You could only make the same Trump jokes, so many times. And I was like, this is actually just kind of, these jokes are just kind of lazy. I like Colbert as a guy. I think he seems like a cool guy, but I was like, these jokes are just, I don't know, just kind of boring. But this year, I don't know, maybe it's because shit is so grim that I just I'm enjoying any kind of humor that comes from it, or some kind of I'm not going crazy type of content. But I watch occasionally Colbert, and again, I don't think the jokes are genius or hilarious, but I don't know. It's decent to watch when you're eating lunch sometimes, I guess. I like him, though. I like Colbert. But The Daily Show is sort of the big one, because I I love Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is honestly one of the few people who I like. I don't know if I would say like I really look up to, but I mean, I really admired what Jon Stewart, the kind of person he is, what he represents, because I think he's very funny. He's, from everything I've seen, he seems like a very good person, like a very moral person. He did the whole 9/11 first responders thing with Congress. You should go watch that speech if you haven't, the speech he gave to Congress. And he helped, push through that bill that helped 9/11 first responders. And I think his show, The Daily Show, has been like hilarious. And again, in contrast to a Colbert or a, Kimmel or Fallon, I don't watch Kimmel or Fallon, but from the very little I've seen, like, I think it's actually funny. Like, I think those shows are like, man, Trump, more like President Fatso, and like the audience like loses their shit and applauds and cheers. And I'm like, again, I fucking hate Trump, but like, bad jokes are bad jokes. Like, you can't just like say like, ooh, more like President Cheeseburger, and then everyone goes, oh my god, that's crazy. Like, I feel like The Daily Show, the way Jon Stewart covers it, is better than that. And my point was, though, before even the Trump stuff, I watch, tons of, I'm sure I've seen every fucking Daily Show Jon Stewart clip there is on YouTube. I just think he's hilarious, and he is not like patronizing and not, if you're a Republican, I feel like you would immediately hate Colbert and, Kimmel and whatever. I feel like Jon Stewart, not that it's his job to like cater to people, but I feel like he could actually, be watched by someone on the other side and not be hated, or like maybe even convince someone, or, the way he formulates his arguments with jokes, with it being clever and without, just like doing these sort of lame, I don't know. Dave Chappelle, who I'm not a huge fan of anymore, but after his last special, but he said something in the Kennedy Center honors thing for the Mark Twain thing for Jon Stewart, where he said like, you are the cure to what ails this nation. And that really stuck with me, because I was like, yeah, no, the way Jon Stewart talks about politics, I think in general he has like the correct takes, in my opinion, and the way he presents them are like funny, accessible, and in a way I feel like could maybe even reach across to some people who don't agree. And how much those people, anyway, let's not even get into that. I was going to go on a whole fucking political thing, but point being, I think Jon Stewart's very funny and talented. That's the main thing I'm trying to say here. That all being said, present day Daily Show, it's still good. I think it's still the best of the group. Not as good as it used to be, I have to say. I don't want to say he's like lost his touch, because he's still very good, and I still have a lot of respect for Jon Stewart. I don't think he's quite as sharp and funny as he used to be. Like, if you watch old Daily Show clips and you watch these new ones, like, there is just a timing, like with the new shows, I think he takes his time too much with, he'll tell a joke and the audience will laugh, and then like he'll kind of hold and they'll laugh more, and then he like talks to the audience a little bit. And I guess like going to see it live would probably be pretty cool, but as like an actual watching experience, like it goes on for a while and he'll like laugh at his own jokes, and the jokes are largely the same. I think it's just the presentation. Like, the jokes are pretty funny, but not, like rolling on the floor type of funny. And the way they were presented, in previous Daily Show iterations, in previous seasons or whatever with Jon Stewart, I feel like it was like more rapid fire. You get the best out of the jokes. It's really fun. It's kind of tight. They feel a little bloated now. I think the sketches fucking suck, I'll be honest. Like, I think these skits they do are just genuinely very unfunny. That veers way into the territory of like the lazy political humor and just like obvious jokes and jokes that go on too long. I still really like The Daily Show, and I like the other hosts in general. I really like I can't even remember their fucking names. I like Josh Johnson, is that his name? I think he's good. Desi Lidich, I think is pretty good. They're all quite decent. But obviously, mainly watching for Jon Stewart. And I still think he's good, and I still think again, it's like nice to, in this political climate, especially, to see some stuff where you're like, okay, I'm not going crazy, and you can laugh about it and, have it done in that way. I don't think it's as good as it used to be. Still quite good, I would say. And I still really, really fuck with Jon Stewart. So shout out Jon Stewart, one of the coolest guys, I feel like, just around. New Daily Show, it's not peak, but it's still pretty good. I'd say like 3.5 stars. Also, did I rate Alien Earth? Yeah, I'm gonna say 2.5 stars for Alien Earth. Very good. Kind of boring. We move on to The Bear season 5. No, season 4 was the last season, I think. I really fucking loved The Bear season 4, man. I hate to say it. I know everyone's kind of off the Bear train. It was the big popular thing for a while, and now no one really cares. Bear season 4 was great. I thought The Bear season 3 kind of stinky, to be honest. Let me go through the seasons. Season 1, very good, very well made. Hella stressful, like a very stressful show to watch. And, you know, like all TV shows, I think maybe it was finding its footing a bit. Season 2, really excellent. I think they upped, like, the banter a little too much. Like, they do this sort of, like, quick back and forth, not Sorkin-like, but just, you know, like, banter that I think they do a bit excessively. But still quite funny. Very, like, yeah, emotional. And there were some fucking unbelievable episodes. Obviously, the dinner party episode, Forks is a different one. The dinner party episode is great. Is Forks the one with Richie, where Richie goes on his arc and he, like, goes to the new place? Because that episode, honestly, like a top 10 TV episode of all time for me. I fucking loved that episode. I thought it was so well done. It was so satisfying and kind of surprising, like the character of Richie. He's such a dick throughout most of the show. And for him to get this, like, really, like, beautiful redemption episode and to find his purpose. And when he's looking at the thing, it says every second counts. And the Taylor Swift music fucking, you know, works perfectly for it. Like, peak episode. Unbelievable episode. Then season 3, it was kind of bloated. Like, it sort of went nowhere. Like, it felt like 3 and 4 were like part 1 and part 2 of seasons, and so that meant season 3 there was kind of, I don't know if it's bloat or like running in circles or whatever. It just kind of felt like we were in the same place, and it led sort of to nothing. Not nothing, but like it was a bit anticlimactic. And I thought the humor was they got way too like high on their own supply, I guess, where they were like, oh, we're hilarious. And so like, if I thought season 2 was bad, season 3, there's so much this like banter. Everyone is constantly doing a bit. And the guys, the facts, I think, those guys who are like fun side characters. What the fuck is even the gag? They do this gag about being pranked or there was a ghost or something, some shit. And it comes back again and again and again. It goes on and on and on forever. And it's just, yeah, it was just kind of rough because it's like watching someone you really like do like a painfully bad stand-up bit that goes on forever. I'm like, please just cut it out, dude. This is not like as funny as you clearly think it is. And I think they also got high on their own supply of like cameos, like where they're like, and let's just have every bit. Look, it's John Cena. Look, it's this person. Let's just have every actor come on here. It started to feel a bit like it lost itself, where it was like, we're now the Bear of the show instead of like the story and these characters that you care about. It's like, we are like, look, it's a thing where actors come on. It's kind of prestigious, and you do like a, you know, and occasionally we have like the prestige episode. I think in season 3 there was some episode that was really good. But in general, it felt like it lost its way a little bit. Still decent, but not great. Season 4, I thought brought it back. I don't know, it was, they toned down all this, it's still funny, but they toned down the like overt, annoying comedy. They got back a bit more to like, I felt like there was more momentum. I felt like there were character arcs going on with, I can't even remember her name, I'm sorry, Io Debris' character, with Carmi. I feel like there was a bit of motion. You know, there's been a little bit of stagnancy in like, where are we going with these characters? And I felt like we were moving somewhere here. And I have to say, Carmi is one of my favorite characters in anything. He's kind of my like literally me character. Like I feel like I relate heavily to Carmi, and I think he's very well performed by Jeremy Allen White. And I think, you know, he's likable, but also, you know, very obviously flawed. But you believe that he's all these issues he has and how he's dealing with them, and like to see him basically, I think honestly part of why I really liked season 4 was just, it was kind of like feel good, like to see Carmi finally move in like a positive direction in life. Like it seems like he's, you know, getting more in touch with himself and what he actually wants, and, you know, all the stuff that has fucked him up over time, and, you know, trying to be a better person with the people around him. Spoilers for The Bear season 4. Skip ahead or turn off the volume or whatever. But him and Claire finally, like, because I really like their dynamic and their relationship, and seeing them like get back together, that shit just like, it just made me so happy. I haven't like felt emotionally invested in like TV characters or just like fictional characters in general, I feel like, in a while, like to this extent, where when they got back together, low-key felt like I got back together with like the one that got away type of thing. You know what I mean? I was like, let's fucking go, man. That just made me happy. And the wedding episode was just super fun and wholesome, and sort of like the opposite of the dinner party episode, where it was just like sweet and nice. Like it it just felt like there was finally some catharsis to all the stress and all the shit that's been happening in the show. A little bit like the end of season 1. I remember season 1 is so stressful, and at the end when they find the money, and I think there's like a message from his brother, and it's like, you're like, oh, it feels like you can finally exhale, you know what I mean? Like, it's such a nice relief. And the whole season kind of felt like that to me a little bit, where I was like, oh my god, finally, like, a little bit of happiness and peace and a little bit of moving in, the right direction. And I also just thought it was very well done. I like The Bear season 4 a lot. I'm looking forward to season 5. I'm back on board. After season 3, I was like, maybe I'm not going to watch this anymore. Season 4 was very good. So shout out The Bear. We have Peacemaker season 2. Wait, The Bear. I keep forgetting to fucking rate these. The Bear season 4, I'm gonna go 4 stars, man. Really enjoyed that. Peacemaker season 2. I thought Peacemaker season 2 was very fun and enjoyable for most of it. Yeah. I think that my thoughts are honestly not that complicated. I think it does what Peacemaker season 1 did quite well. It's generally pretty funny. Again, James Gunn's humor for me is like 70-30, where like 70% of it is funny, 30% isn't. It's a pretty good strike rate, I guess. It doesn't sound that great when I say it out loud, but in general, I thought it was like pretty funny. The characters are, they have a charming dynamic together. I like Chris and Harcourt's, will they, won't they? It was sort of, I don't know, wasn't annoying as it maybe could have been. And the alternate dimension stuff, I thought that was fun. It reminded me of like old superhero, felt like a comic booky show where you go to another dimension. It's all great, but then turns out they're all fucking, aliens or monsters or Nazis or whatever. And, that was fun. I enjoyed that. But yeah, the finale was stinky. I will say that. And not for the reasons of like, there wasn't a Superman cameo or whatever. It's just because it was like a whiplash. Like, it was a pretty solid, well-paced, well-done show for most of the episodes. And then suddenly the finale is like 3 episodes in one. And they speed run like an emotional arc where Chris feels bad. And then they all like, no, we're your friends, Chris. And then they're all good again. And then it does a cliffhanger ending. And it just felt like so fucking, I don't know, truncated or smushed together. And that did leave a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. But in general, I quite enjoyed Peacemaker Season 2. I'd say 3.5 stars. Something like that. Pluribus, this is one I can't really talk about because I've only seen 2-3 episodes. I want to keep watching it. I will finish it. But I just want to say on what I've seen, I was sort of saying this about Raphael Bob Waxberg with BoJack and Long Story Short, but like Vince Gilligan is someone you can just tell fundamentally understands storytelling, filmmaking, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, this, just the way, it's hard to describe without, you just have to like sort of watch it, but just the way he does storytelling, character arcs tying together, just script writing and filmmaking, like the actual, I know it's not, him exclusively, but he is sort of the connecting thread across these 3 great things. And just, yeah, the filmmaking, the shot composition, the way it's done, it is just like classic, great storytelling. I almost want to say like a modern day Rod Serling in a sense. And I don't know if that comparison really makes sense or whatever, but Rod Serling with the Twilight Zone, and I know Rod Serling didn't do everything with the Twilight Zone, but just Twilight Zone I look at its peak as like storytelling refined. Like if you want to know how to like write a script and how to, tell stories visually and all this kind of stuff, you should watch the best Twilight Zone episodes because they might seem like simple on the surface, but that is actually like the genius of them, the beauty of them. It is like, yeah, refined, perfect storytelling at its best. And I feel like Vince Gilligan, he just has that in him. Like he just knows how to compose a story in a really, really excellent way. So yeah, that's all I can really say. I don't want to, this especially more than some of the other shows feels like one you have to see the whole thing to really give a conclusive opinion on. I mean, obviously you have to deal with everything, but yeah, so far just the actual filmmaking of it is fantastic, and I'm really into it. As it is a little bit Twilight Zone coded, actually. I wasn't even sort of thinking of that when I made that comparison, but yeah, I look forward to finishing it. I can't really rate it though, since I haven't finished it. Smiling Friends Season 3, I talked about a bit in my, well, not a bit, I talked about every episode in my Smiling Friends Ranked video. Fun. Yeah, fun. Probably my least favorite of the 3 seasons. I think it has, as I did in that ranking video, more of the episodes towards the top of, or the bottom, whatever, the lower end of my ranking of the episodes. But also, I've only seen them once, maybe I'll rewatch them. There were some definite highlights in there. The Schmalugels episode was hilarious. The Mole Man episode was really funny. And in general, even the episodes I didn't think were like amazing, still totally watchable, still have very funny moments. You know, like Silly Samuel is my least favorite episode of the whole show. And that still has, you know, very funny moments in it. Yeah, charming, fun, has not lost its touch yet. Smiling Friends. I enjoyed it a lot. Let's say 3.5, maybe 4 stars, honestly. And finally, I'm pretty sure this is the last one, we have Invincible Season 3. And much like The Bear, man, this shit was fucking great. Invincible Season 2, I was like, was it Season 2? Whatever the last season was of Invincible, I was like, I'm not on board with this. I can't even remember what I didn't like about it specifically, but I just thought it was, I don't know, it had too much shit going on, or it wasn't done well. There was something about Season 2 where I was like, Season 1 was, you know, pretty peak. I really liked Season 1. And Season 2 just did not live up to that for me. So I was honestly almost considering not watching Season 3, because I was that much not into Season 2. But Season 3 absolutely redeemed it. The only, like, negative I would say is that it is a lot in a season, and there's a little bit of whiplash between storylines. Like, you will go from, like, episode about this, and then suddenly we're on another storyline, and then we're on another storyline, and then something else invades, and, you know, it does whip around storylines a bit. It feels, I don't know about the Invincible comics, it feels a little bit like they were trying to adapt a lot into one season. But to be honest, it didn't bother me that much. It kind of did just have, like, a comic book feeling of, like, okay, now we're doing, like, yeah, it's a comic book show. Yeah, now fucking another alien invades. Okay, we'll deal with this now. But just, I don't know, kind of like, I guess it also helps when I really do care about and am invested in characters, and kind of like Carmy. I really just do like Mark Grayson, like the character of Invincible. I am invested in his story and him as a character. And so I feel like they did more with his story, with his arc, whatever. I don't know. I liked what they did with his character in this, I guess. I did watch it, you know, almost a year ago at this point, so I can't remember the exact specifics, I have to say. But there's just, like, some fucking crazy action scenes in this. You know, the bit at the end where they fight Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, that guy. That shit was fucking nuts and super brutal. You never really think, at least I didn't really think, like, okay, can they really up the brutality and, like, the damage of these fights? You know, Invincible gets pretty fucked up in those previous 2 seasons. But man, no, they up it in a way that didn't feel like cheap or like it was trying too hard. I was like, oh no, this is like the most brutal fight so far. You got me. I thought the stuff with Cecil was really good as well. Thought that was really compelling. Fucking great season, dude. I really, really enjoyed that. So again, I feel like this was maybe the year of the bounce back season for The Bear, for the Invincible show. I'm very excited for season 4, which I think is coming out pretty soon, actually. But yeah, I'm gonna say Invincible season 3, I'm gonna give 4 stars. That shit was great. So yeah, those are the shows I watched in 2025. Looking forward to some great shows this year. What did you think of these shows? What other shows did you watch that I should check out, that you would recommend? I know I should watch It and Andor and Stranger Things. Although Stranger Things has gotten a very mixed reception, at least from the people I've talked to. But I'll get to it eventually. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell button, check out my main channel, BHL Hudson, my podcast, the Poorly Planned Podcast, my Letterboxd, Real BHL Hudson, my Instagram, BHL_Hudson. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.